A very good morning, students. Now, welcome to our online class 3, and our subject is Computer Science 12th grade, and we'll continue further topics from Python Revision Tour, and which is data handling. And our learning objectives will be the students will be able to know what are the different data types. Basically, our topic itself will tell data handling. So, we'll see how to handle different data types. So first one is data types. That means different data types we'll see, as we have already seen in the previous class. What is integer data type, what is float, what is string, and boolean and all. Okay. In the second one is learning objective. You will be knowing what are mutable and immutable data types. And the third one is operators. And this also you have seen in the previous class, like what are arithmetic operators. We have seen what are unary operators, what are binary operators, and which will perform arithmetic operators, logical, relational, so this kind of stuff. So we have seen all these yesterday also. Now today we'll see in elaborately. Yeah, so what is an expression also we'll be knowing, and what do you mean by typecasting. So these are the learning objectives. So from this topic, after this session, student will be able to know all this importance of all these subtopics, and also these are the keywords also. Okay, so moving on to our class, let us recapitulate yesterday's class. Also we have seen Python fundamentals yesterday. Now what all we have seen in Python fundamentals, like character set and tokens, different types of tokens, and what are literals, and what are operators, types of operators, and also reading numbers, also simple input and output numbers, using which functions, using input as well as print, right? So all these we have seen in the previous class. Now today in this session we'll see about data handling. Now what do you mean by data type? Main important point. So data can be of many types, example character, integer, real, string, etc. So as we have already seen yesterday, different data types. In numeric we have seen integer, float, complex, right? Now today again we'll see elaborately what do you mean by character, integer, real, string. What do you mean by character? Anything which is enclosed in quotations, that is a character or string. If there are continuous series of numbers, sequence of, not numbers, sorry, there are sequence of characters enclosed in quotations, is called as a string. So numbers without fractions represent integer value, as we have already seen yesterday. That means they don't have any decimal point. Those are called as integer data types. And numbers with fractional parts are called as floating points or real data types. And also we have seen boolean data types, that is true and false. True means 1 and false means 0, right? So what are the built-in core data types? Numerics, that is numbers. We have already seen int, float, complex, string, list, tuple, and dictionary. So what are numeric data types or numbers? So anything which have numeric part in themselves. So again they'll be further classified into 3 types, that is integers. In again integers you have integer signed, booleans, and floating point, and complex numbers. So what do you mean by signed? Again we have discussed yesterday, it will support both signed and unsigned, nothing but positive and negative. And floating points will have decimal part, right, or which have numerics with a decimal point, and complex numbers with imaginary numbers. So integer examples we have seen here. Integers are whole numbers which don't have any fractional part with themselves. So you can give example as 1, 2, 10, anything. Okay, and those are two types we have seen. Integer signed, so it is a normal integer representation of whole number, so it can be of any length, but it is only limited by its memory available, right? So integers we can write n number of size for it, provided it should have memory available within that particular space. And booleans, it will represent only true and false, that is 0 and 1. True means 1 and false means 0 respectively. And floating point, we have already seen it will have 2 points, fractional form and exponent notation. So I think you all are familiar with this fractional and exponent, and we have seen one example also yesterday regarding finding exponent and mantissa. Please go through that session if you have any doubt. And complex numbers. So what do you mean by complex numbers? Complex numbers will be of form a plus bi, where I is imaginary form. So I think most of the mathematical students, MPC students, will be knowing this equation. When I say a plus bi, I will be some imaginary number, and you can also write it as under root of -1. Clear? So a complex number is both made up of real and imaginary components, as you have seen. A and B are real numbers and I is imaginary. I have clearly mentioned that subpoint also. Unlike Python's other numeric types, complex numbers are of composite quantity made of 2 points, like we have already seen. Yeah, so the real part and imaginary part. And also strings. So most of this part I think I have covered in the previous session, so I'm going a bit fast. I hope you'll understand it. If you don't understand anything anywhere, you can refer to previous session, online class 2. So string, anything valid characters which are enclosed within set of quotations. Also I have said quotations may be either single quotations or double quotations, provided if you are starting with single quotation, end it with single quotation. If you are starting with double quotation, end it with double quotation. Clear? And string as a sequence of characters. Sorry, I'm scrolling it fast. Okay. So, since length of string variable can be determined using function length of string, and this length of string, I think, don't forget it, we have used it in string handling or text handling in 11th grade. Okay. So how can you use it? Using length of that particular string function. You can know length of that particular string you are giving. And first character is at index 0 and or minus length. I hope you remember forward indexing and backward indexing. Forward indexing will always start with index 0, right? If it is, okay, I'll just give an example. If I'm writing it as computers, C will have 0, O will have 1, M will have 2, P will have 3, U will have 4, T, E, R, S. Yeah, so T will have 5, E 6, R 7, this has 8, right? This is forward indexing, which will have COM, PU, TERS. Okay, or you can give backward indexing as, how much is the length, ma? So -9 you should write, or -8, and so on. -9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So last value will be -1. So when it starts with 0, it is forward indexing. When it starts with negative minus length, that is backward indexing. Clear? Yeah. So the second character, as you have already seen, we have seen with an example. So the second character will be 1 or length -1. So you can just substitute those values in your length, you will get it accordingly. Right? So we'll move on to lists and tuples. So what do you mean by list? First and foremost important thing is we have seen n number of examples for list and tuples as well. List is nothing but comma separated values of any data types within square brackets. Like you have seen example. In this square bracket, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So all these are integer data types. In square brackets, I have given string data types which are enclosed in quotations. And in the next, third example, which has Neha, 102, 79.5, you see we have mixed data types, right? So first and the foremost thing you know about list is those are comma separated values of any data types enclosed in square brackets, right? And opposite to that is tuple. Tuples are represented again same as list comma separated values of any data type within parenthesis, nothing but round brackets, right? And you see ma, the major difference between both is list can be modified but tuples cannot be modified. Again here you will get keywords called mutable and immutable. Now what do you mean by mutable? Mutable are nothing but which can be changed, whereas immutable are nothing but which cannot be modified. Like I'm having 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 in list. Instead of 2, I want to place some other value as 6. I can do it because lists are mutable, whereas tuples are immutable. Again we'll see them with examples in further class. Now what do you mean by dictionary? Dictionary is another feature. Again this will be comma separated values only. Those will be enclosed in flower brackets, and also it will have key value pair. You usually know what you mean by dictionary. It is nothing but when you have A alphabet, you will have all the A alphabet words in that particular set of pages, right? So A will be your key and all the associated words will be its value. So similarly in the real data, in the real world, you can relate to this with your school, with your class data type. Okay, so example is in flower brackets you will be having, see, A for 1, E for 2, I for 3, O for 4, U for 5. So these are the particular data types.